Come get some.
Hello, welcome back to A Boring Revolution, your number one news source for everything in regards to The Boring Company. Hope you are well. This is our quarterly report for Q3. A little bit behind on this one, but we want to stay on top of this. I believe this is episode 15 of our quarterly reports. We continue to do these because it gives us a nice outline of all the projects that have been proposed, that have been completed, that are on the drawing board, that are in planning and consent phase. And it's a good little historical record that we can look back in the next 5 years and say, when or where did the Boring Company become more active, or did it have a particularly bad year? Now, I'd probably say 2022 wasn't the greatest year for the Boring Company, but there is definitely a lot of things going on in the background to be proud of, and they have continued to expand the connection up to Resorts World and do further planning in regards to connections to other casinos near to the convention centre. So let us begin. As always, we start with the most prominent project that the Boring Company has completed to date, and certainly the largest one that they have built, which is the Las Vegas Convention Center Loop, valued at 48.6 million. I keep telling people it is not 52 million or whatever number they quote, because that obviously includes a bond which is used for retention purposes to ensure that the job is completed to a satisfactory quality and does not include construction costs. So that is the number that we should be using. 1.66 miles in length in total, approximately. Very close. As we all know, project was completed very, very quickly, on time, on budget, and has operated really, really well. Zero accidents, zero fires. I'm only aware of one incident in regards to a passenger getting their hand trapped in a door, and really, after 3 years of operation, the team and everyone operating that facility should be extremely proud of what they've achieved. Other projects, so a long time ago there was a proposal for the San Jose Airport Loop. You know what I should do with this particular Excel document is include proposed year for when it was proposed, so we can keep a track of that as well. That would be a useful column, I think, to add on the next one. San Jose Airport Loop, I believe that was proposed 2019, maybe 2020. Very, very little's happened with this one. I believe the Boring Company are not too interested in operating in California at the moment. The kind of regulatory hurdles that they face, local governance is not on their side, and in general, people don't want these kind of proposals in California, unfortunately. They'd much rather spend hundreds and hundreds of millions on either new roads or expensive mass transit projects that take 10 years to come online. But hey, don't worry, California, we'll be coming back fairly soon. So nothing's really changed with this one in terms of the stats. I'm sure you can read. In terms of the probability of completion of this particular job, I have a 0.5%. I think that, being very honest with you, I'm being quite generous with that probability of completion. What else do we have? Let's move this down here so that my face is not in the way in the future. Hawthorne Test Tunnel. If you don't know already about the Hawthorne Test Tunnel, this was the original project that the Boring Company completed going underneath the SpaceX campus. Again, another successful tunneling involving the proprietary tunnel boring machine, or the first iteration. Certainly had problems along the way, but it proved itself to be a very reliable system, and it continued to kind of prove out that this idea had legs, essentially. So that will stay on there, but it's more of a historical reference. Dugout Loop. I like this one, but again, California, the regulators don't like the Boring Company. Certain government officials, especially now after the Twitter takeover, have become extremely anti-Elon Musk, and I really don't see a strong probability of that particular project taking place. Again, it's around 0.5% probability to completion. I have here Resorts World 1 and Phase 1 and Resorts World Phase 2. I think in the next episode I will change that, so we have Phase 1, Phase 2A and Phase 2B, because essentially they are relaunching the machine for Phase 2B, and it might make more sense to kind of divide that up and see that as a separate project. When Phase 2B begins is really unknown to me. Possibly middle of next year, but I have heard very, very little about that, and it's still up in the air in terms of where they're going to launch that machine. Encore Wynn Hotel Casino, Nevada, $11 million, $11.5 million overall cost estimated, which works out a cost of around $19.49 million per tunnel mile. Why is it so expensive? Well, ultimately launching and retrieving the TBM are quite expensive parts of the process of tunneling, and the shorter the tunnel, the more cost per mile, as we have found out with the underpass tunnel in Kyle, Texas, which I'll explain in a little while. It has been approved for construction, but it doesn't look like they're going ahead with it, possibly because the casino isn't interested at this very moment in time, wants to see how things develop with Resorts World. But I'm fairly confident that will start late next year, possibly early 2024. Probability of completion is 65%. I believe I dropped that slightly from last time, but we'll have to see. So that start date and that finish date is completely wrong. I need to remove that for next time. So what's the next one? Ontario Airport Loop, California. As you probably already know, they've decided to go with a different system and style and contractor. So that was an unsuccessful tender. This happens in the construction industry. Ultimately, you're not going to win every tender that you put in. So sometimes you kind of do it on purpose, whereby you overprice a job in the intention that you don't really want the job, but if they were going to offer you the job, that you might do it for that particular price. And I think essentially that's what's happened with this job, is that they weren't, again, too keen on going into California, and the prices that they put in were not competitive, and it looks like it's going to go to someone else. But again, they might come back to California at some point, but there's so many jobs in Texas and Florida and Nevada that's going to keep them busy for a good 2 to 3 years, if not longer, maybe 5 years. Fremont Supply Tunnel is a theoretical project that I developed in terms of supplying certain manufactured items to the Fremont factory, mostly concerning the seats which Tesla manufacture in a nearby facility, and it would make sense to have them and other components moved via tunnel, because the Fremont site itself for the Tesla factory is completely full, 97% full, and there's no real space for the kind of logistics and storage necessary, and it just makes a ton of sense, really. But not too sure it'll happen. I mean, I think it has been talked about a little bit, but I think Tesla is more likely just to build a new factory, and Mexico is going to be where that next factory is, maybe another one in Canada as well. CERN particle accelerator. So this was actually a proposal by the science institution there at CERN, that they wanted to build a much larger particle accelerator that would be 50 kilometers in radius or 100 kilometers in diameter. I think it'd be an excellent use case for the TBM. Potentially you'd use 2 TBMs on that, although if you really want to, you could just use the one and save yourself a bit of money. But if you wanted to get it done quickly, better to have 2, maybe 3 TBMs. Cost per mile $7.64 million, At the time, that might very well increase due to inflation. What do I think the probability of completion of this one is at this moment in time 1.5%. We're going into a recession. I don't really see a lot of projects like this going ahead in this kind of climate. I mean, that could change rapidly overnight, but I don't expect anything to happen in the next 2 years with that particular one. This is the kind of most active project, the Las Vegas, in terms of things going on behind the scenes. Now, I have here 35.8 miles. I know from good authority that they intend to increase that dramatically, potentially beyond 55 miles. However, I don't know if that'll be a separate project after this one has been completed, or they'll do that, asynchronous with this particular project. It's looking at a cost of around just over half a billion dollars, or 510 million. Probably a bit more than that. Even though a lot of the casinos are building their own stations, there's certainly a lot of miles of tunnel, and it'll be necessary to build various kind of turnarounds and underground nodes and things like that. So the price could potentially go up a bit more than that, but I think that's fairly accurate. Vehicles will be travelling at 80 miles per hour maximum speed, potential average speed of 64 miles per hour, because remember they're going point to point, but obviously there's going to be curves and congestion points in the system, so that it might be that they have to slow down in certain places. What do I believe the probability of completion of this job is? 95%, potentially could start in 2023. I think maybe that might be a little bit ambitious, 18th of February, but something June, July, August, we might see some work commence on that one. We have the Austin Loop in Texas. Very little has been said about this recently. It looked like there's potentially some disagreements in the background for this particular project, but didn't really result in a cancellation or any kind of firm proposal. Fort Lauderdale, again, this is one of these projects that I'm really excited about, that I'm hopeful is going to start either the end of 2023 or the beginning of 2024. From a complexity standpoint, Fort Lauderdale is possibly one of the most difficult ones due to the geology, but with the proper planning and the proper strategy, they should do that, fairly easily. And that goes the same with the project in Miami as well. But Fort Lauderdale is kind of the one that will probably, start earlier and finish earlier as well. Looking at around $67 million, although again, with inflation, that could be potentially closer to, 68.5 maybe at the moment. Plans have been submitted, they are going on in the background. Obviously, we've heard a lot from Dean Trantalis as well about this project, and he's very keen for it. So if he's pushing that from his perspective, then it's very, very likely to take place. So 85% probability to completion. As regards to the Austin Loop project in Texas, I've put that down at 51%. I do believe they will do that though, but just based on the lack of any noise regarding that project, I've dropped it down a little bit. So we have some of our test tunnels here, just to remind people if you're not aware of them. I got too far. So Adelanto test tunnel. So that site, I'm aware, is now kind of closed now. The vast majority of testing and kind of calibrating of TBMs and kind of refining construction strategies is taking place at the Bastrop test tunnel, or tunnels. It should be tunnels because there's multiple tunnels. It's now up to 0.35 miles of tunnels. It seems to have gone very well. Learning about the geology, learning about the process of launching and retrieving TBMs. That will continue for many years. It potentially could get up to a mile of tunnels in the next sort of 4 to 5 years. Who knows? But they have tunneled under one of the roads there, and it looks fairly successful. And that's also where they are testing the kind of hyperloop kind of vacuum kind of technologies. It's only a test of the vacuum or it's a partial vacuum capabilities of the tunnels that are on that test bed. There's no kind of Hyperloop train. It's just working through the process of establishing what works and what doesn't work before they go into more complex engineering. What other projects have we got down here? Let me just clear some space so you can actually see what's going on. Probably. Okay. So, San Antonio Loop, again, not too sure what's going on with this one. Very, very, very quiet. $279 million is my estimate, although there isn't really a kind of a firm price for that particular project. Again, inflation is probably added 10 to 20% to that, who knows. I think that would be quite a good project and potentially could connect up to Austin as well. So there's a lot of useful things going on there. Probability of completion 55%. South Padre Island Tunnel, I just don't really see that happening, if I'm honest with you. Again, it was proposed, but it doesn't. It seems like a bit of an unnecessary use of money. So I think the boring company will use their TBMs elsewhere. So 2.5% on that particular one. Let's do these ones. So North Miami. So I've divided the Miami project up into 3 projects because I believe they'll do it in that stages, and it gives us a bit of a breakdown of the costs of each stage. North Miami Beach, Hard Rock Stadium connection, and a connection up to the FIU Biscayne campus, which I assume is some kind of educational facility from memory. Hard Rock Stadium is obviously where the Miami Dolphins play, and possibly some other teams as well that I'm not aware of. I don't think the baseball team play at that stadium, but I might be completely wrong on that. Certainly the football / soccer team don't play at that stadium, but might play somewhere else along the route. So it's got 125 million, 65 and 39. So, it's well over $200 million in that regards. Plans have been submitted. Passengers per hour per direction, if you're wondering what this is. This is the amount of throughput per tunnel. Often various systems have multiple tunnels, but I feel that this is a good way to kind of measure things. Probability of completion of the North Miami Beach kind of loop, 85%. Hard Rock is 80%, and FIU Biscayne 80%. Here we go to the Kyle pedestrian underpass, and then I'll just briefly summarise these 3 down here. I'll also put the link to this Excel document in the description, and then you can take a look at it yourself and make your own critique, as it were. So Kyle pedestrian underpass was a proposed connection underneath a railway line that would connect a proposed or an existingly new residential development. What has happened is the boring company have looked at that, given some kind of price, and really they've reconsidered it and just thought, why don't we just put a level crossing in, or why don't we put a bridge in? And it's a bit of a compromise on their part, but they could certainly save money. I mean, they could probably, certainly with a pedestrian bridge, do it for far less than $1 million. Certainly these days, it's quite easy. Just drop something in. We have the I-35 commuter tunnel in Texas. Ultimately, that's connecting up various cities along that route. Not heard a great deal about that recently. They're probably waiting for projects to commence in San Antonio and Austin, and then make a decision on it. So I don't anticipate much is going to happen with that. Probability of completion is 20%, and then we have a Giga Texas tunnel. So this is kind of the new one that's been added to the Q3 version of this Excel document. A little is known about this particular project, other than that it will go underneath the factory at Giga Texas. Where it then goes, it kind of goes over the other side of the river, I believe, to some plots of land that the Boring Company, SpaceX and Tesla / Elon Musk all own. And I anticipate that Twitter will also have a campus somewhere near there at some point. So it might very well be some kind of private connection for kind of higher management at SpaceX, the Boring Company, and Twitter to get access to the Gigafactory. Probably mainly CEO Elon Musk and various other people. And it looks like they have submitted a planning application for that one, so it's not just conceptual. I should probably change that. When this will all happen, I don't think it'll happen next year. I think it'll happen in mid-2024. But again, we'll see. The focus at the moment is on the big Las Vegas project, and the expanding kind of scope of that project potentially could double in size if things are going the way that I'm hearing they are. And if you can work in Las Vegas and you've got a very supportive council and very supportive population, why would you then do other jobs in other places where you're going to have to rebuild that? It's better. It might be better to make mistakes in Las Vegas and learn from it, and then apply those learnings in Texas and Florida, rather than make mistakes in Texas, make mistakes in Florida, and then make some mistakes in Las Vegas, and then you kind of lose the goodwill of everyone that's involved in those projects. But I'm fairly confident this will happen. I think 60% is a little bit low. Might increase that a little bit more, but this was proposed in July, August, I think. So it's still fairly new, but we will see. Okay, hope you enjoyed that quarterly report. I hope it kind of interests you, and you've made some learnings in regards to these projects. At some point, again, I will start cutting projects from this list. I think half of them will be completed and half of them probably will never get done, but that is how it works with contractors. You apply for lots of jobs, and you tender for those jobs, and maybe only 40% of your tenders are successful, maybe even 30%, but what's important is that you do a good job of those 30%, and then the other projects, maybe they'll come along later on in the day. Okay, hope you enjoyed the video, and remember guys, don't be boring. Please like and subscribe. Write a comment down below. Tell me what you think. Comments help with the algorithm. And yeah, take care. Have a great day. Hope you had a really Merry Christmas, and obviously have a Happy New Year. Take care now, and goodbye.
Prove me wrong, and that'll be great.
It's time to kick ass and chew bubble gum.